Students, welcome back to Masterclass and this early bird special. Today, you're not going to be getting drunk on toxins. You're not going to be intoxicated, but you are going to be getting drunk on the power of the truth and the revelations that we're going to be dropping right here today about Janel Grant, the whole thing, and Vince McMahon, and all that good stuff. I am the Master Amir. He is my tag team partner, former NXT tag team champion, the Fixer, Martin Stone. Martin,
good morning, my good man.
It is very early in the morning,
yeah, it's for you, yeah.
Yes, this is the earliest show we have ever done right here on the Masters of Wrestling. And hey, that's what we do here. We sacrifice. I'm going to go to the gym a little bit later today because I'm sacrificing for all of our students out there. Because Janel Grant obviously came out and she spoke to the world. This is the first time we've actually seen her enunciate and articulate anything to anybody. And what a revelation it was. Some people are saying it was damaging. Other people are trashing her, all kinds of things. But you and I are men of intellect, men of wisdom. So we're going to break it down for everybody. We're going to enlighten people today. So, Martin, first thing out the gate, what did you make of this situation? What did you make of Janel Grant? Sincerity or something else? What do you think?
I 100% thought she was being sincere. You can tell by the video she's traumatized. There's no if, buts, or maybes about that. You can't fake how she's second guessing every single thing she's saying.
Yep.
Because she genuinely doesn't know what she's doing, or if it's right or if it's wrong, or the repercussions of that. Because obviously what she was talking about, as we'll get into, maybe she was forced into, coming clean about stuff that happened. But just I think it's great that she came out. And again, chances are of the guys in question are going to pay for what they've done. Again, money talks, power talks, Yeah. But at least now maybe her story will save the next line of people that potentially are going to get put in this situation.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was very interesting to me, Martin, is that I garnered from this is the trauma, not necessarily perhaps entirely weighted upon what she did, because she knowingly did that and she signed knowingly signed an NDA. The trauma is coming from the fact that she said she was pulled into this, forced into this, which then opens up a can of worms to say, who leaked this to the feds? Okay, we know the FBI have been after Vince McMahon since the steroid scandal way back in the 90s. But somebody had to leak this NDA. It was not Janel Grant. She told us that. It was not her. She did not file a lawsuit against Vince McMahon. She did not complain about her past transgressions. She was moving on, doing other things in her life. But somebody brought this to the light of day. Now, Martin, you've got some theories about stuff now, right? I do too.
Yeah.
Which our theories are common sense, students. It's common sense thinking. But let's go back in time here. So, somebody needed to gain access to these NDAs and spill the beans to the feds. Now, I've always said, and I will stand on it, that Vince was forced out of the WWE by Hollywood. They wanted to get their hands on that company and that intellectual property. They love to talk about IP. Every time you hear carpetbaggers in interviews, go and do it, ladies and gentlemen, the Hollywood types, they're always talking about getting their hands on IP. That means intellectual property. That means something else that someone's created out there, like a book, a movie, whatever it is. They want to own it. So, so Hollywood have been involved. I told you off air, Ari Emanuel has been involved with Vince McMahon since the early 2000s. Not a lot of people know that.
I had no idea about that at all.
Since the early 2000s, he's been his agent. Remember when Vince was dipping his toes into making movies in Hollywood? Remember he was doing that?
Yeah, that's what he did, the Condemned and stuff like that.
Okay, so Ari Emanuel's had his hooks in Vince for a long time. Now, wouldn't you think that an agent or someone like that would have access to files, maybe access to the office in Connecticut, access to people. Again, not maybe him, but maybe some of his teammates, his constituents, some of those people. But somebody had to get their hands on that NWA. Someone was trying to set up Vince to get him out of that company. Now, Martin, you got some theories about this. Do you reckon it was some of the Hollywood people, or do you reckon it was some people in WWE?
No,
okay, what do you think?
So I can only go back. So I can tie this into when I was there. So obviously when NXT Black and Gold was at its peak was when AEW came onto the scene. And then obviously we went head to head on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And again, we were told each week, don't worry about that group. That's just guys we didn't want. So you guys are going to trounce them, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
I still feel that they caught wind of the fact that AEW was getting a TV deal. And then Hunter and Sean's ego got in the way, and they said, we can run against them and go live and go head to head. That's still what I feel happened. And look how that turned out. Yeah. We got demolished.
Yeah.
So, and as I always said, I was like, because a lot of the boys have been like, oh man, this is in the bag. I'm like, lads, we're going up against Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes and Jericho and, guys that used to be on the main roster that are massive names, not just guys that came for a tryout that got turned down,
Yeah.
And part of NXT being rebranded as 2.0 is because Vince was disgusted that, Hunter lost because Vince beat his competition and bought them. Hunter couldn't do it, and then that's when, even before, unfortunately, Hunter had his heart issues, that was already in place. Vince was already, okay, I'm taking it over. Unfortunately, then Hunter had his heart attack, and then Johnny Ace came in, and then we obviously know everything that happened from there. So and again, this is my theory. This is my opinion. There is, unless it gets proven in a court of law, there is no fact or official statement that's come out that this is the reason. I still think for the board members to be able to get their hands on the first documents to show that $3 million was unaccounted for had to have come from board members.
Okay.
Who was on the board?
So who was on the board? Okay.
Triple H and Stephanie. Or Stephanie may have not been. Hunter was on the board at that point in time.
Okay.
So I genuinely believe that because of what happened with NXT and then Johnny Ace coming in and firing every single person that Hunter had hired, probably more so because Johnny Ace hired Mr. Regal. I feel that was, that was brought to the board's attention via people that would have been that close to Vince that know what he's like.
I mean, allow me to jump in here.
Yeah,
so I think that honestly, I mean, we can see that Uncle Paul may have had certain things. I'm still finding it a little bit, only because I know what these Hollywood people are about. These Hollywood people could send in somebody into the office. Remember, they're already in business with Vince. It's not far-fetched that they send somebody into Titan Towers, the former Titan Towers, and then they get their hands on these NDAs. I'm not sure if Stephanie would turn against her own father. Now, Hunter, go ahead.
Well, so here's the thing. The NDAs didn't come out at first.
Okay, so what was
the missing money?
Okay,
that's what first came to the board's attention.
Okay,
so there was money missing first. And again, let's say, for argument's sake, I'm correct, and it was Hunter and Stephanie. Do you not really put it past them to be able to make a phone call to Mr. Helwani?
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand that.
So
I'm finding it difficult to think that Hunter.
Well, again, someone can make a call, but again, Hunter's whole ambition, ever since he got behind the scenes, I'm sure he had a taste of running a very successful third brand.
Yeah.
His mate, it may have been very indie-rific, but it was very successful. You know, it wasn't supposed to be a success. And FCW and all the developmental territories before that, OVW, Heartland, and and all places like that never had the success that NXT did. Okay. So it was a very successful brand, successful enough to be able to be picked up for a live television contract to be paid. I think the sum was, I think it was picked up for like 1.2 or 1.3 million for that first year. You know, it was a trial run. So a network paid that amount of money for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
So I think that Hunter's ego was like, I can do this. I bet I can run WWE better than Vince McMahon. The fans were outcrying, saying that Vince was outdated. You know, 2019 was obviously awful for the company. Like, just, the main roster storylines were terrible. Every single person was like, Vince has lost it. He's old and crazy. He's out the loop. He doesn't know what's current and what's this, what's that. So maybe Hunter just had a bee in his bonnet, like, you know what? I can run this company way better.
Well, he definitely got to step up to the plate, but it definitely doesn't take. It's not one person that brings down an entire Titanic.
Yeah, I'm sure there was many moving parts to this.
Yeah,
I do feel it started with Hunter and Stephanie.
All right, so now we've got that established. We've pretty much got established the fact that, like I said before, when this whole story broke, the powers that be in Hollywood could have crushed this story, could have made it gone away easily. They chose not to do that. They allowed Vince McMahon to be publicly disgraced and humiliated, and he was forced to sell stocks in his company.
Yeah.
Now, you honestly think in a normal world that Vince McMahon would ever relinquish the grip on the company that he built? Not in a million years. Steve.
We all used to joke and say, the only way Vince will give up his company is when he's no longer breathing. It was, I expected Vince to be working there literally until the day he passed away.
Yeah. Well, that may actually happen now. I'm going to
take retirement now and I'm going to sit at home. No, he built this from the ground up. He bought it off of his dad, and this has been his project since. When did he buy the company? Early 80s.
Early 80s. He took it over from Vince Senior. Yeah.
So so that was when he bought the company. He bought the company off of Vince Senior, who mocked him throughout the entire time, saying that he was no good and he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. So he already had that burnt into him.
Yeah.
So now you got a man that's got a purpose and a reason to want to make this the massive global force that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It is. It's a global force. That's why I'm saying there's too many black holes in this story. What Janel Grant did is she did us all a favor.
Yep.
By finally breaking her silence and speaking for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, they say 15 minutes of fame. In this circumstance, 15 minutes dropped some anvils, some bombshells, some revelations, because, again, it just showed she didn't go after Vince. She'd already moved on with her life.
Yeah, she'd changed jobs, she'd relocated or whatever. Yeah, so
she'd gone through her therapy. The trauma she's experiencing now is from sheer fear of the position she's in now, because now she has some heavy hitters who are basically using her as a pawn in a chess game to accomplish this whole thing. Like I said, if somebody wants to get their hands on a business, if they want to essentially hostily take over a juggernaut like the WWE, the stakes are very, very high. Okay. So I think that Janel Grant's in a precarious position now, where she, like I said, she's forced into saying these things. She doesn't know what the heck's going on. Her whole life has been turned upside down, but it's not her personally attacking Vince. She, at that time, had agreed to these things, had signed an NDA, and had been paid. So, I think back in other businesses in Hollywood, they used to, basically essentially what she was doing was what in old Hollywood they would call a seducer. So Hollywood executives would hire females to do their bidding when they wanted to acquire somebody to do a role for a certain price. And again, if they wanted a woman, they'd acquire men to do that job. They were seducers. So she had played the role of a seducer. Now, one of the things I do want to bring up, because I think it's very appropriate, is Brock Lesnar. So now Brock, everybody seems to forget, was named in this case for doing explicit, degenerate, disgusting things. And now it came out recently from Jim Cornette that even back in the day, he was touching women inappropriately in OVW. And Jim Cornette threatened him with a gun to shoot him because of this, because he was a degenerate. So my also question is, why on earth is Brock Lesnar back on TV in the spotlight when we know the type of person? Didn't he steal Sable for Mark Marrow? Didn't he cause that marriage to go south and swoop in?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that is a degenerate move. That is a complete scumbag move.
And as you said, going back to the seducers in Hollywood, that was part of the thing that. And again, who knows? I know. Obviously, she signed that NDA.
She knew what she was doing.
So again, I feel that she was probably gaslit into signing that. Like, oh, you're going to make so much money here. You're going to be just sign this for us. And that was part of the deal. We got to keep Brock here. So it's
well. Anyway, now we find ourselves in this whole strange new world. WWE, you've got an interesting theory, Martin, about the current state of WWE. Now, one of the things, students, we want to bring up is the fact that, I mean, I don't know about any of you out there, and Martin brought up, WWE has to know that they're going down the tubes right now. They have to know that their programming is awful. They have to know that the fans are rebelling against them. Just this morning, I got a tip from one of our dear loyal channel subscribers telling me that Elimination Chamber, they have now banned any public showing of Elimination Chamber within 50 miles of the event. They have banned it because, again, the ticket sales are in the toilet. Now, there's two reasons they're in the toilet. Obviously, number one are the actual prices themselves. Mm-hmm. I don't know who on earth can afford $12,000 in this economy for one night for 3 or 4 hours. It's a complete waste of money, number one. Number two, aside from that, is the fact that, aside from the money, the product itself, the storytelling, is abysmal. There aren't any builds. So WWE have basically booked themselves on paper into a hole right now. Yeah. This is arguably going to go down as one of the worst WrestleManias in WrestleMania history. We're heading directly toward it at WrestleMania this year. One of the worst in history. The worst build, the worst ticket sales. They can say all they want about the highest gate. Sure, of course you're going to hit the highest gate if you're charging $50,000 and $10,000 a ticket. You're going to make more money than ever. But at the end of the day, you're not selling out. Nobody's interested. Nobody cares. So coming into that, Martin, you got a theory about their current state and how this all ties into Janelle Grant, Vince McMahon. So I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah. Again, this is just my theory. So I think at first, Hunter was very much, okay, I'm going to take the reins of this place and I'm going to make it great. The WrestleMania, when it all came out, that this is like the Paul Levesque time period or whatever they called it. Yeah. Yes, it was amazing, and it was. But I genuinely feel that was literally just because, very luckily, the fans were so much behind Cody, they wanted to see him get that moment. And they patiently waited while that poor guy tore his pec and, he was out for the amount of time he was. And then they essentially ran that storyline back and, he come back and he won the Rumble. And then they'd done such an amazing job of getting Roman to the point where he put the company on his back and he was the guy. Mm-hmm. And then you saw him get dethroned. Okay. Perfect wrestling storytelling. Absolutely perfect. That will probably go down as one of the best WrestleManias ever. Mm-hmm. Now, I genuinely feel there is no way can Hunter, Bruce Pritchard, people that have been around for as long as they have, even Sean, people that have been in that company when it was at its peak. I refuse to believe that what they think they are writing and putting out each week is great TV.
I agree with you. There's no chance.
There's no way. They're not, Hunter is not that unintelligent.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Neither's Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard hasn't taken massive amounts of bumps or chair shots or, she can't even put it down, oh, he's old and senile or whatever, or CT. You can't put it down to anything like that. So I refuse to believe.
They work with the greats, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe.
I'm pretty sure a trained monkey would be able to learn something from those guys and go, okay, this is what makes sense. Right. This is what draws. This is what puts fans in seats. This is what makes great television, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So my theory is the way that company works, especially the creative department. If you come up with a really, really good idea, something that could, this could make us some money. They will dismiss it if it's not their idea.
Yeah, we know that.
So a lot of talent are very, very good at being able to pitch ideas, but then out of those meetings, have them think it's their idea. So they'll come back and go, we got this great storyline for you. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. And it was the talent's idea all along, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel that with TKO taking over and now coming to light, Amari Emanuel being Vince's agent, with everything that happened with that public backlash and obviously all the NDAs coming out and, the scandal and everything like that, as a company that's publicly traded, you don't want that. You don't want to be the people that bring that fire on your own company. That's not good for business. It's like, okay, we are going to set up C4 and Semtex. It's going to blow up, but it's going to work. Yeah. They're not going to do that. So I feel that Hunter and Co. have booked it so bad so that the fan outcry is, man, we want Vince back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Hunter went to whoever, went to TKO and said, I think we should bring Vince back, they're going to laugh at him because, they
wanted him out. They're the ones that wanted him out.
The ones that wanted him out, all right? So now, obviously, it's all coming out that Vince always cared for families and always kept his ticket prices at a sane price. Yeah, WrestleMania, you are going to pay a bit more. It's the biggest show of the year. That's expected. Yeah. But you weren't paying 10 grand to go and see Monday Night Raw.
No.
Okay. So I feel that they've booked it into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The fan backlash is, we want Vince.
Which we've heard now.
Which, again, on the last one of the I hate the fact that they do the post-show press conference thing when they're trying to.
That's a Hollywood thing. That's a Hollywood
when they're
thing.
Trying to do that, and then fans are just they're booing him and like, we want Vince and AEW and whatever like that.
Yeah.
So the fans are voicing their opinions.
Yeah,
I just find it very convenient that now all of a sudden there's talk about Vince coming back. So my theory is they've booked it into the ground, knowing the backlash they would get. So the fans start chanting for this. TKO then go, oh, maybe we should bring Vince back.
Yeah.
Voila, you've made an idea that you had, given it to someone else. They've thought about it. They've heard it, especially because they're going to see dollar signs. Oh, if we bring Vince back, we can make even more money. Now it's their idea. Now, if there's public backlash, TKO can make that go away.
Well, we know TKO can do that. They're making the public backlash go away right now by continuing to spew nonsense in the media that, it's the highest gate. We're so successful. We make money, but you're garbage. The product is garbage, and people are not selling. You're not selling out anymore. So, no, but I agree with that. But then that would lead credence to the fact, like I said before, that Hollywood sent in somebody to get access to that NDA. So I keep saying NWA. I'm sorry, Billy Corgan. I don't mean to bring your company into this. I do think NWA. I highly respect everything you're doing at the NWA. I will say that. Fantastic brand. But no, got their hands on that NDA deliberately to force him out. Now, Hunter and people like that wised up about that. They're aware of what TKO have done. Now they're rebelling from the inside. Now, again, if this is proven to be true, because we're gonna hear all this, ladies and gentlemen, as the truth comes out, it's all going to be revealed. But if that is the case, this could be one of the greatest stories in professional wrestling history, one of the biggest scandals, not just in wrestling, but in the entertainment landscape, because WWE is a global success. Mm-hmm. And again, if the Bruce Pritchard, Hunter, Paul Heyman, if they're all turning against TKO inside the company and making it garbage so that they can force Vince back in. Now, Vince could actually buy a bunch of shares.
Yep.
Vince has so much money now, he could buy his way back into. If they create a dud, if Hunter and Co. make WWE such a dud, then TKO will want to wash their hands of it as fast as they can, right? Now, who comes back in? Vince. He comes in with his money. He buys his way back into the company. TKO dusts their hands of it. Because at this rate, I don't even think Saudi Arabia would want to touch WWE because it's failing. It literally, WWE is on a life support right now. It's on life support. It's not thriving. It's on life support.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've also got to remember who is part of the board on TKO. One of Vince's biggest advocates, because he made him a superstar, Dwayne Johnson.
Now, but hold on. We got to look at old Tooth Fairy Dwayne here for a minute. Now, Dwayne has been in bed. Again, I cannot confirm or deny, maybe literally, with Hollywood since 2001. He has also been in business with Ari Emanuel since that time. Okay. I believe either Vince introduced him to him or he introduced Ari to Vince, one or the other, because at that time, now Martin, I was there and I remember the consensus in Hollywood when I was writing and producing out there. Hollywood looked down upon wrestling. They thought it was a joke.
Yep.
Okay. They hated wrestling because they thought it was a circus act, a carny show.
Of the entertainment world. Yep.
Right. And when you look at the Tooth Fairy, when he was first booked in Hollywood, he was always in the generic roles. He was a CGI Scorpion King. He was a Tooth Fairy. Hey, they initiated him well. They got him to wear a dress, didn't they? Yeah, there you go. So they did that. So again, Hollywood are not friends of pro wrestling, and students out there, don't fool yourself into believing they are. They have not the best interest for WWE. So it would make perfect sense. I would give perfect credence to your theory, Martin, that the internal guys now are working against TKO. They're trying to force it so that they can bring Vince in. Vince has got the money to buy his way back into that company. And you and I have said it. In fact, we put out a short. Should a McMahon be at the helm of WWE at some point? Always? Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's their family business. It's their family business.
And think about it. If it's not far. I don't see it being unfeasible because of the fact that Vince and Co. were trying to work the USA network with everything that they were putting out, and then obviously USA was smartened up, and they're like, "Well, hey, no, this is that," and they were like, "Oh," and they had to change course and then actually deliver on what they were saying they were going to deliver on, but they weren't. Right. So there's been a lot of let's work executives, let's work people, and stuff like that. So obviously it's no new news that Rock and Hunter don't get on. Mm-hmm. So because Hunter's, I'm trying so hard to be, I can run this better than Vince. Who's to say that Mr. Tooth Fairy wouldn't revel at the chance of being able to bring Vince back just to shut Hunter up?
We'd have to look at
getting worked.
No, exactly. There's a lot of people getting worked in there. By the way, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Step out of the darkness and into the spotlight right here with the Masters of Wrestling. If you got a question for us, if you want to chime in, use a super chat, and also become a channel member for just $4.99 a month. It's the price of a cup of coffee from Starbucks. You do that once a month, you'll get all the latest in our members-only section. We're going to do some real deep dives into all this week, Martin and I. So you're not going to want to miss the members only section this week. Not only that, you'll get a free shout out and a free question answered on every single live stream moving forward. So don't wait. Hit that join button right now.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at that. I was just had this really weird thought. Imagine if Vince comes out this mystery box and goes, "It was me," and just sorry, that was like,
out of the box, conceivable. It could be that.
Like, it's going to be Jericho, and Vince comes out. Oh,
it's not going to be Jericho.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Jericho because, and again, I got all due respect for Jericho, but I know as well he has signed a lot of NDAs, apparently, again, allegedly with females, and his contract has now been frozen in AEW. But I don't want to waste time talking about AEW because I don't want to waste time on them. I want to stay focused on the Janel Grant thing and also Vince McMahon. Vince, now we also this weekend, as well as Janel Grant, we saw footage of Vince McMahon. Coincidentally, we haven't seen hide nor hair of him, and now we get the body cam footage of that crash up in Connecticut. Now, I saw that. Martin, the man was driving 100 miles an hour. He was being followed by a cop. He spun out of control, smashed a car, and then gets pulled over. But what doesn't happen that what should have happened, Martin? What should have happened in that scenario and what did not?
Well, I mean, if you're speeding at 100 miles, again, so if that was in Connecticut, I'm assuming it was probably maybe 45 to 60 mile an hour speed limit. Let's say 70 to be nice.
Yeah.
Going at 100 mile an hour straight away, that, even without crashing and you get pulled over, you're getting arrested.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's traffic law. You're getting arrested.
We've got a couple of questions. We got a super chat that came in. I think I saw it up here. Yeah, I got to go back here. But Just the Poet says he's the man in the box. So I want to know, Just the Poet, who are you, Just the Poet? I mean, what is your gimmick? What is your name? We got a jabroni in the chat right here. I've seen this guy before, and I tell you what. You like to joke about colors and being bright. I'm about to knock the lights right out of you, pal. I could care less about AEW. Like I said, it's not my cup of tea. I am interested in sports entertainment. I'm not interested in purist pro wrestling, just for the record there, pal. We got a super chat from our dear channel friend here, Archie Lee. This is a man who's in the spotlight, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Quick question. What you think was Vince's last great idea, character, and feud? Also, do you think the New Age Outlaws never needed DX ever? Good question. So, Martin, what do you think first?
In terms of the New Age Outlaws, no, I don't think they ever needed DX.
No, they didn't.
Again, getting a chance to talk with both Billy and Road Dogg, they just got to a point they would just run out and just take bumps for people, and they just got themselves over in a time period where you were allowed to get yourself over. Make no mistake about it. You would not be able to do that now. So if that was the New Age Outlaws now and DX was a thing, and then there's the whole ceiling that you are coming to see WWE, not a talent, then no, 100% no, they would have needed them. But they got themselves over because Billy and Road Dogg are amazing talents. Yeah. It's just, you can't deny that. And honestly, I think the last great Vince idea with a character and feud was him versus Austin.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the last great character was actually Mr. McMahon. And in fact,
heel in the business,
greatest heel in the business. I mean, again, personal issues, personal feelings aside, we don't agree or condone what Vince did on a sexual level, but that happens all the time. We're talking about the performer, the
performer, and the owner of the World Wrestling Federation.
The businessman. He got himself in phenomenal shape when he came back in his 50s. By the way, he learned how to work in the ring. He told a great story. He was more compelling. Visually, what he was doing, which is where the money is right here when you're working on TV, more compelling than I'd say 90% of the guys today was Vince. But I'd
say a second run-up for that would be him versus Hogan when it led to the street fight, just because they brought in a lot of old personal issues and stuff. Again, it was compelling. You wanted to find out what happened. So
we got this guy in here again who's he's about to get his lights knocked out right here. You see what he says right here? The savior of wrestling. My gosh, my man. I'm not even going to address that. I mean, I think you're just trying to pull. I think he's pulling my leg, Martin. This guy here, but nonetheless,
yeah.
I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy.
He's just trying to bait you. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
I had a feeling when he put the song lyrics saying "I'm man in the box," it was actually the song.
but coming back to this whole thing. So again, I just wanted to just touch on that very briefly about the legal system, right? How sad it was that just because it was Vince McMahon, he can speed on a highway, smash into a car, and he doesn't even get taken in to jail. He just gets, okay, we're going to do some paperwork and you'll be on your way, sir. That was a criminal, because I know the average American did that. They'd be in handcuffs. They'd be spending the night in jail.
To bring in some more news as well, obviously all that stuff came out about Shia LaBeouf in New Orleans. Obviously, I know he was down that path if he was clean and sober, but from the footage that came out, he clearly wasn't, when he's throwing hands with guys. But he was arrested, so it's no different. So
someone said here about the way Vince looked in that video. To me, it did look like he was a little bit intoxicated. He didn't sound coherent. He was kind of fumbling over his words and kind of got mad and started cussing and stuff like that. Someone else is saying that my Uncle Paul is the best writer in the business, the best booker ever. Wow. I'm not sure what you've been watching, but I think you need to open your eyes a little bit bigger than that and understand. But yeah, so nonetheless, coming back to the situation with Janel Grant, I just want to say this is something we got to watch, everybody. We've really got to, at the end of the day, the reason we go deeper here on the Masters of Wrestling is because we want you to go deeper. We want you to understand more. We're not just going to regurgitate to you the same stories and headlines that you can read anywhere else. We're going to give you food for thought, because that's what good journalists do. So again, we're saying, hey, it looks like there was corruption involved here. It looks like somebody set Vince up using Janel Grant, dragged her through the mud to use her to get to him, to get their hands on that company. And now it looks like potentially the workers in that company are working hard to turn against the Hollywood machine to bring Vince back in and get Hollywood the F out. Because that's what needs to happen.
It's just been so quick to be like, oh, wow, Vince might be coming back. When those stories come, I'm like, there was so much to push him out. And for good reason. You don't want press like that on someone that works for a company like that, be it in wrestling, be it in, American football, be it in somewhere like Publix or, like a food store. If a scandal like that broke out, they would be doing everything they could to get him out, which is, completely fair. It's and again, I mean, some of the comments here, 100% he got off because of who he is. He was let go because of, that's power talks, and so does money. It's,
Exactly. Someone else said in the comment here, I get this guy's going straight to the top of my list right here. best booker in the business, Vince Russo. Agreed, 100%, my man. Vince is doing great things now. Again, I think his time has come now. I think, again, the new Vince Russo that's taking the helm of JCW is definitely booking must-see TV. He's doing the best he can with what he has access to. Now, can you imagine that, Martin? If Vince did come back and somehow Vince Russo ended up working with Vince McMahon again, we'd see a resurgence in professional wrestling, storytelling, and characters like you would not believe. Yeah. And it would be incredible there. But, I don't know. We got to watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. What's that?
Can we kick Colors Bright for that comment?
What's that? Oh, no, you can't be saying that, Colors Bright. You gotta, there's a certain decorum here. We appreciate your comments and your comedy and everything else, but at the end of the day,
you can't joke about stuff like that. That's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, so what do you viewers think here? Do you think that he did apologize? So again, We
Appreciate
accept that
that, brother, Brian.
apology, my man. It's just, we do get carried away here, but we got to keep some set level of decorum here. So again, students, food for thought. Was it a hostile takeover? Did somebody come in, use Janel Grant and the NDAs to kick out Vince McMahon and get their hands on that company? Is my Uncle Paul, Bruce Pritchard, Paul Heyman working desperately to tarnish the WWE product now, to force TKO's hand and bringing Vince back in because he's the only man? I'm not saying that they're bringing him back in because they need him creatively. I'm saying they bring him back in because he's the only one that can buy the company back, unless it's sold to Saudi, and then game over. It's all over. Yeah. At that point, it's all over. You can ring the final bell, do the 10-bell toll, because WWE will be going in the ground after that. So we want wrestling to survive. Someone asked me a question. If you got a question, if you want to find out, if you want to ask me that question, see Speaker Photography, you got to use a super chat. Those are the rules we employ here. That's what the super chats are there for. That's how we interact with our fans here. Archie Lee gave us a super chat earlier, so if you want to ask that question, use a super chat, and I'll definitely address that question for you. But Martin, anything else in this sphere you want to cover here before we wrap things up on this episode?
Yeah, just I think unfortunately we're gonna have to sit and wait. We're gonna have to sit and wait and see. We're gonna have to play the waiting game now. I just, with everything that's coming out, and especially all like the backbiting, and this one doesn't like that one, and this one doesn't like this, and the whole Unreal thing, like guys going off saying, well, she's only here so she can get these ones better, and it's like it's too. They can't think that's good. They can't think it's a good look. They can't. They can't be watching that going, this is great. This is going to sell. There's no way. There's no way. Yeah. So I just think we're going to it's all going to unfold. And I guess as soon as it does, we will let you know first.
Yeah, we'll break it here. But just remember what we said, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we want you all. You're part of the wrestling community. You actually make things happen. You got to, use your voices. Use what you have at your disposal, but wake up, everybody. We're trying to educate you. Wake up to the reality of what's going on. Don't bury your head in the sand and just think, oh, okay, because there are lives at stake here, things involved. The credibility of a company that we've all loved and watched for many, many decades is on the helm, on the verge of being completely destroyed. And I think, honestly, Hollywood is ground zero for that. So, number one, Vince, again, personal feelings aside, if Vince were to come back, he's the only one that has the capital that could buy that company back and then work with the new board, Hunter, Rock, and everybody else to get it back on track. But, like you said, Martin, only time will tell. But only time has run out for us today because this was a special. We'll be back on Tuesday, regular time, with our regular 2-hour live special. So make sure you tune in for that. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you join and become a channel member. Make sure you like this video. More importantly as well, make sure you hype this video. Hyping this video will push us out into the algorithm so more people can absorb these pearls of wisdom, and maybe you can wake up more people to the reality of what truly is going on behind the scenes in the world of professional wrestling. But Martin, from you and I want to say God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time on Masterclass. Take care. Students, your time has come. I have decided that it's time to share some of my knowledge with you. That's right. Do you want to become a true legendary professional wrestling character? Do you want to learn how to project your voice, to enunciate, to come up with the greatest promos that you possibly could? Then you need to join me each and every week for just $50. I am hosting a masterclass on Zoom. That's right. You don't have to travel. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. I will teach you how to become the greatest character you can be. I will help you discover who you truly are. I will help you with taglines, promos, etc., etc. Join me for just $50 a week in a masterclass of wrestling character development. There's a reason they call us the masters of wrestling.